All right. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you guys here on this beautiful Tuesday morning. I hope you guys have gotten just a ton of awesome resources. I know I've really enjoyed the sessions I've jumped in on yesterday and today. Super cool. And awesome to see everybody here. We'll do some introductions here in just a minute, but if you guys could start with in the chat, if you guys could put your name, where you're from, and what you do. My name's Scott Gennard. I'm a principal at COA Middle. If you guys could do that real quick, and then we can talk about kind of what our day is going to look like. Awesome. It's so interesting with pros and cons to everything in life. Recently we get people from all over. All right, awesome. Okay, so while you guys are doing that, I'm going to jump back on the screen and we can talk about today. We're talking about creating the school culture with Google Classroom. So I'm going to share my screen here and we can get into this. All right, so we're talking about creating school culture. That's so incredibly important. And during this time of COVID and everything else, it can be even more of a challenge. And one of the things that we have done is we've really tried to engage in a practice of not only engaging things that work incredibly well for now, but also what are things that we want to maintain and continue as we move forward. Awesome. I'm seeing you guys toss in those things in the chat. Looks like we've got technology coordinator, IT assistant principal. Awesome. Middle school. That's Gracie. Sure, we could swap tails for a little bit on how wonderful our middle school kids are. All right, so we're going to be talking about creating classroom culture with Google Classroom. I developed this presentation in conjunction with my instructional coach, Tiffany Santos, who's not here, but she's mentioned. What you'll need for this session, you'll need a computer. Good job. Check mark. You've already got that one accomplished for you. A scratch paper, a marker, a pen, an open mind in your passion for education. A little bit about me. My name is Scott Gennard. That's me and my lovely wife. I'm a principal at COA Middle School. I also host a podcast with my wife called Educational Mountains, where we just kind of talk about parenting, education stuff. My wife is a school counselor. So we talk shop often. We record that, put it out there. So I've been a principal for 4 years as an independent charter school up here in Sacramento. And before that, I was an educational and technology coordinator for 3 years, special ed teacher before that for a number of years at the secondary level. And I just love, passionate about education, passionate about school culture, technology, all that. So we can have a good conversation. Seems we have a fairly small group today, so feel free if you guys have any questions about anything, interrupt, unmute. Let me just make sure you guys can toss something in the chat. We can just kind of have a dialogue as we go through. If you want to get a hold of me, my email's there, and that's great. Today, our goal is to provide you with tools that you can use to maintain relationships and promote high engagement. And we're going to be looking at it through the lens of students, staff, and families. And we're going to be using Google Classroom to do that. There's a number of ways to do that, but we have found Google Classroom to just be an absolutely incredible tool. It's already there and can do so much for us. So what we're going to be doing, this is actually one that we used at full queue. I didn't catch all of the different things to add that. So we're going to do just a quick little snapshot for you guys. And I want you guys to think about distance learning. Think about where you're at when it comes to engaging in collaborative cultures, how you're doing with this whole distance learning thing. And I just want you to pop in to the chat just a thumbs up, thinking, or a heart, kind of where you feel like you are today. Do you feel like you've absolutely got this? Are you trying to figure things out? Or you just know that you're all about that heart? So toss in that thumbs up, toss in that thinking or heart to just kind of gauge where you're at. For me, I'm thinking every day presents itself with a new challenge. Every day presents itself with a new opportunity. And it's perfectly fine if you feel like you're still trying to figure out, even if you are the tech expert. Randy, that's awesome. I forgot about the reactions. That's great. And we are really all about that. And Jamie, I like your background. I don't know if you're dropping me the thank you face, but I appreciate it, and I like that. So it is great to kind of see that, and we are all being challenged. I mean, I have extensive technology background. I worked at Apple before going into education. I'm a certified trainer and coach for Google for Education. I go around doing presentations like this, and 10 minutes ago, right, 3 minutes before starting this presentation, I kicked my um uh the thing that everything my whole setup is plugged into, and everything turned off 10 minutes ago. So, I mean, stuff happens. We are in unprecedented territory. So I think that we can all be at a place with yeah, and it's funny to feel like the expert on these things and then still have so many challenges. So awesome, great job. So we aren't going to worry about the photo. I do want to share this quote with you guys, and this is one that really drives me. And I think we are at a time, unlike any other that I can think of, to really maximize this opportunity. This is from an edu hero of mine called Ken Robinson, who unfortunately we lost recently, but was just brilliant. If you aren't familiar with him, check him out. But this quote I love. It says, "The fact is that given the challenges we face, education doesn't need to be reformed, it needs to be transformed. The key to this transformation is not to standardize education, but to personalize it, to build achievement on discovering the individual talents of each child, to put students in an environment where they want to learn and where they can naturally discover their true passions." I think one of the gifts that COVID and its presentation with education has brought to us is that we are able to really transform. I think everybody really knows that there's things that we would like to have seen change with education. Well, hey, March 13th came, and for us, that was the last day I saw students on my campus. We still haven't opened. We have a handful of special ed students out there, but that's when everything changed, and we have the opportunity to really maximize that moving forward. All right, so we're going to talk about school culture in 3 domains: staff to students, staff to staff, and staff to families. And those are so critical things that we use. And for us, we use Google Classroom. Also, if you guys are just joining in, if you go to the URL in the bottom right-hand corner, bit.ly/U_GC, and that is all caps, you can get access to this presentation. All right, so let's talk about how we're engaging with students. Obviously, critically important. With students, teachers to students, we really want Google Classroom is our hub. How many of you all are using Google Classroom as your hub? Most of you guys. Maybe you guys have another LMS system. Maybe you guys are rocking with, Schoology, or maybe you're rocking with Canva or something like that. But still, even for those, Google Classroom is such an important integration tool because it plays so well with everybody else. And if you're like us, we're a small system. Google Classroom is our LMS. So we really want to create that one central communication system. So for us, we already were rocking with Google Classroom, but as soon as we went to this remote learning, we said, hey, we're going to leverage Google Classroom every single assignment. That is our main way of communication. So we have everything in there. We have students communicating to each other through the stream and comments, teachers communicating to students. We've got everything in there. And one of the things that is often missed, I would say probably the most underutilized tool that gets the biggest bang for buck that we talk about a ton and really talk about how we engage with our teachers is the reuse post tool. We're a secondary school. We have 6 periods of throughout the day for each of our students, and really kind of teaching them, hey, you can reuse something from an archive class, from an old class, from a class that you're just engaged in collaboration with, and you don't have to be constantly recreating the wheel. Using that reuse post, engaging is so important. We also really touch on the integration piece. When I'm making a decision for whether it's a piece of curriculum, whether it's a supplemental material or anything else, my number one thing that I always touch on is how does it integrate with Google Classroom? How does it integrate with Google Classroom? Because that's our hub. We really want to have everything kind of play nice with that. And fortunately, it does for so many different areas. We also use it as our organization and prep tool. So one of the things that we do as a team, and it's super critically important, is we kind of have those shared agendas. And so what we've done is we've created templates that we share out with our team that kind of organize our thought. And again, we really want to have consistency in practice and engagement, especially given how critically important it is to use Google Classroom effectively to communicate. So we try to have fun. You can use different fonts, different emojis. You want to really think about how you're communicating, have that consistent structure. And it's just great. And there's tons and tons of examples. But we find that the more engaged we can make the assignment, the more clear we can make it, because we're really not just talking to students. As parents, I know for my kids, I love seeing stuff like this because I can be like, what's my kid supposed to be doing today? Oh, this is what they're doing in their class. I know what they're doing. So we really kind of touch on that consistency, making it fun, making it clear for our students. We're also really trying to leverage this as much as possible to create a system, routines that we can engage like a physical classroom environment. So one of the things that we've really encouraged our team are things like Zoom backgrounds, the header on your Google Classroom, when you're communicating, kind of creating those Bitmoji classrooms you probably have seen, creating those consistent routines for students, just like we would if we were there physically. We're really pressing on the importance of doing that remotely as well. Giving students class jobs that they consistently have. One of the things that we do a lot with Google Classroom engagement when we're doing group assignments, it's kind of difficult to create that group dynamic in this way. But oftentimes what we'll do is we will have an assigned person within a group that I'm only going to assign this assignment to that person. Their job is to share it with the rest of their team in Google Classroom. So then it becomes there's ownership. We have class jobs. We do digital gallery walks, all sorts of stuff, all through Google Classroom. It's awesome. We also want to create connections with students. So this is where we really try to integrate our social emotional learning. So we do our check-ins, we do our warm-ups, we do school challenges, we do big rallies, we do great events and stuff like that. But one of the things that we've done and we found to be really important is when we're doing our check-ins, maybe it's a quick little exit ticket or a warm-up in a Google form, often is what we do. We ask a little question about how are you doing today? And is there anything that you want me to know? And that's actually critically important. And we found some really important elements from our students that give us access where, we're finding out, oh, Johnny's family is losing their home. They think that they're going to be on the streets in a week from now, or they're having this issue or they're having that issue. And these things might be a natural private conversation that you have with your student, because you're seeing someone's having a bad day, maybe. And it's so challenging to do that, to capture that. So one of the ways we do that is we capture that information, oftentimes through a little check-in opener. I see something like that, maybe I'll create a breakout room just for me and that student to connect, talk, and kind of have a one-on-one conversation so that I can find out what's going on. We have had a number of things happen where we've been able to go drop off groceries at students' families' homes, that didn't know if they'd be able to eat, or we've been able to come and make sure that that student who has internet issues, we drop off a hotspot to them, or maybe they're having an issue with something else and we've had to call CPS, unfortunately, to kind of get them involved on a couple issues. But those little things are so critically important, and it's just one line, just one little thing. Hey, is there anything you want me to know? It's great. We are going to do a super quick activity. I want you guys to take out a scratch paper and a marker or a pen. So just a quick piece of paper where I want you to listen to the options given, take a moment to think, make your choice, write it down, and be ready to explain. And let me share what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at, right now, do you feel more like a settler or an explorer? Do you feel like more like a settler or an explorer? Write that down in big letters. And then right below that, kind of why do you feel that way? I'll just give you about 20 seconds. Just about 10 more seconds. All right, I want you guys to hold up your answer to your camera and see what we see. See my, oh, I should have chose a better example here. That's not showing up at all on my camera. All right, Jamie, what did you say there?
Hi everyone, I said I'm an explorer because I'm always looking for adventure and reflecting to improve and change.
Nice, nice. George, what do you have there?
I have a explorer, and I said I'm just out here learning new things.
Awesome. Randy, did I see you have one there?
Yeah, actually, I ended up doing it like currently where I am in this situation, which is like a settler. I'm just trying to get through and doing what needs to be done at this point, harvesting the crops and trying to make sure everything grows.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I depending on the day, I feel more like a settler and more like a explorer. I said explorer because every day I'm learning something new. We're in new waters. We're kind of on this journey. So that's great. Anybody else want to share what they put down?
I will. I'm Colleen. I said explore because we are constantly coming up with new hybrid schedules to return to school someday. Now it's the Sunday schedule. And our county offices tried to facilitate, but we have to be so far ahead of them. And we picked a great schedule for our distance learning schedule, really, really innovative. And now people are saying, why didn't you share that with everyone else? We're like, because we created it the night before school started, right? Like, just you have to make it up. There isn't really anywhere to, there isn't time to go somewhere and find this thing.
Yes, and that is so true. We've had multiple iterations ourselves of different schedules and different things, and we're a huge fan of what the schedule that we've come up with distance learning. So we're like, how can we model that with hybrid, and how are we gonna? And man, it's funny to go through. I'll visit the campus or I'll talk to a principal. They'll show me their plans. I'm like, that is awesome. Where was that 6 months ago? But the reality is 6 months ago, it didn't exist. So I think, who knows? I mean, as we move forward and I think hold on to those papers because I think it's going to continue to be relevant for a while. Awesome. So one of the things that about this activity is it's quick, it's simple. It's not, sharing screens, it's not technology dependent. Um, and it's very flexible. You can do this with a movie, metal or wood, or whatever, it doesn't matter. And what's great is it's a quick activity. It kind of gets this engagement thing. It's a layer of accountability. It's quick, it's simple, and we really try to engage with as much of these things as we can. Let's talk about how we're engaging with staff. So we kind of have a couple of different domains when we're talking about support and collaboration. There's content, so we have instructional and strategies and tools we'll talk about. We have after school collaboration time. We have tons of scheduled things about sharing practices, creating collaboration. There's also the social emotional. We really try to communicate effectively. And I think that's one of the things that is so challenging during this time. And we'll talk about a couple of strategies that we engage to really make sure that we are communicating. One of the ways that we do that is we have all staff meetings every single Friday. They're brief, they're quick most of the time, but the idea is that things are constantly changing. Let's have a brief 15-minute conversation, and that'll avoid 50 emails. So we kind of table that. The other thing that we have is we have Google Classrooms. So we have several different Google Classrooms. I have a COA Middle all staff Google Classroom where all of my staff are students in that classroom. It does a few things for me. One, it makes it so that I almost never send out an email. Almost never. It's probably fewer than one email a week out to the team. I have everything go through Google Classroom. So if there's something I want the team know, I don't send an email, I toss it in the stream. If there's something I need them to do, maybe it's an attendance practice, maybe it's checking in, it's always a Google assignment. I always have a due date. I always kind of have those practices. And that really, really helps in a few ways. One, enormous reduction in emails. Two, there's always that question, when is this due? What am I supposed to do? Blah, 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 blah. It's always organized in the same place every time. It's in the Google Classroom. If people have questions, they can comment. Other people can answer them. So I'm not always the person that's answering, responding. It organizes things very, very smoothly. It's something I recommend everybody doing. The other thing it does for you is it gives teachers the experience of being a student in a classroom. I don't know about you guys, but I have taught classes on Google Classroom 100 times. I've been a student in a Google Classroom 2 or 3 times, and it's a completely different experience to kind of be a teacher or a student. So it gives our teachers the experience. This is what it looks like to receive an assignment. This is how you turn in an assignment. This is how you add an attachment to an assignment. Critically important. Highly encourage you that. The other thing we have is we have an instructional strategies Google Classroom, and we have one of those per grade level. And in that one, the teachers are teachers in that. And what's cool about that is because of the reuse post, they can toss in quizzes or assignments or different things like that they're using effectively, and they'll toss in ideas. Oh, I went to this conference, check this cool tool out, blah, 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 blah. And it does a couple things for us. One, it makes it so that everybody can toss in ideas. I went to this cool thing, read this cool book, check out this cool thing. Everybody has a place to see that and it's shared. The other thing it does is because of reuse post, if you create a super cool, engaging assignment or a super cool, engaging quiz or something like that, another teacher can hit reuse post and they don't have to recreate everything. They just send it to their own students. Awesome way. And we have found just tons and tons and tons. So we just have in our instructional strategies and innovation classroom, we have dozens and dozens and dozens of things that are organized beautifully by our instructional coach and our teachers on what they're doing. So awesome. The other thing I have is I have a COMS students Google Classroom, and that Google Classroom is me as a teacher, our vice principal, our instructional coach as teachers, and then all of our students. And that's killer for communication, for, if I have a rally that we're going to do, I send that out as an assignment, everybody clicks, they join or anything like that. Awesome, awesome. So highly, highly encourage you guys that you can use Google Classroom as a much better way of communicating with your team on that. Families. So there's a couple of tricks that we use, again, leveraging Google Classroom. The number one thing that I tell people if they don't know about is right on the home page of the Google Classroom. And that's the little to-do thing. Because when you hit to-do, sorry, I'm in my garage. My daughter just opened it up. So anyway, when you hit that to-do assignment, it will show, oh golly. Sorry, guys. There we go. It will show every assignment that the student has in all of their classrooms. Super quick, one snapshot. It's right on the homepage. And we tell this to parents all the time. Since we have every assignment go through Google Classroom, it's so much more effective than through the gradebook because that only says what they've done, what they've missed. Here it says every single assignment says, here you go, click on this. You want to do that. And what's cool is when you click on that assignment, that digital learning planner assignment, it'll go straight to that Google Classroom, straight to that assignment. So I tell this to parents all the time. Have you gone to the Google Classroom and clicked on the to-do? And it'll show all their missing assignments and all their done assignments with their grade. One-stop shop. It's awesome. If your parents aren't using it, if you aren't leveraging that, it's awesome. The other thing, we have guardian summaries set up for our families where they just get a notification every week. This is what your kids did. This is the assignments. This is what they missed. Super, super helpful. We also do a number of other things to communicate and motivate. We do parent power hours. We have a parent website. We do virtual coffee with the principal. We engage on social media. We use Google Classroom Guardian summaries. We do Parent Square communication, constant phone calls, constant emails. We also have family fun nights. We have weekly challenges, and we have student leadership that engages in tons of ideas on how we can engage more effectively with families and students during this time. But we really want to create a partnership where we are co-teaching with the parents in our community, especially now. So we want to streamline that process as much as possible. And again, really leveraging that communication, leveraging Google Classroom as our communication tool is huge. While we also have all these other things, that is our hub. So I did also add some distance learning resources. So these are just kind of some killer resources that we have found. There's just links, all sorts of things here to kind of check out that I encourage you guys to check out. But we just have a few more minutes. So I'm going to ask that you guys, you can either click on this link or go to this website, leadership.santacruz, and I will toss this in the chat to for you guys to click on and give your feedback. And we can just take a couple minutes to open the floor with some questions. And then I have a quick end video for you guys. Any questions that you guys have?
I have a question about we have Google Classroom for our teachers as well. But a lot of our teachers are co-teachers in other teachers' classrooms for a variety of reasons. They support that class, sub that class. And so they've turned off notifications so that they don't get that other teacher's set of notifications. Any suggestions around that?
Yeah, and I'll share my screen, but you can, I think Jamie's probably gonna say this, you can turn off notifications on a per class level. Is that what you were thinking, Jamie? So we do that. I'll show you my Google Classroom. I am a co-teacher on 156 different classrooms. So I hear you, I feel you. I'm a co-teacher in every single one of my teachers' classrooms. That was one of those things that sounded like a really good idea at the time and wound up being kind of a pain. But my drive is just a disaster. Never share anything with me, I'll never find it. But what you have is, if you go down, hit the hamburger on the left-hand side, go down to settings, you got your notifications. And what I always tell my team is, don't just turn off the notifications. Down here, you can turn off your notifications by class. And so that is huge, huge. So now it will default to on every time that you are shared a new class. So I have to go in there and remind myself, but that's clutch. And that was one of those things where during a staff meeting, I took 3 minutes. I just told everybody hop into Google Classroom. I'm gonna share my screen, do this, boom, boom, boom. And it just removed that issue. There's still other issues when it comes to organization around, the fact that every assignment that goes out is shared with me and is in my drive and all that stuff. I know that Google is working on finding solutions, but that's huge. Jamie, was that what you were gonna say?
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
how did you invite parents to the classrooms?
Great question. Let me show you. So we have Aries. I don't know who uses that, but we have Aries integration. But let's just grab a classroom here. So this is one of my ELA classes. And when we did Aries integration with Google Classroom, you can actually create your classrooms from Aries directly. Aries is our student information system, and it will actually input guardians. If we have parent emails in there linked to students, it'll automatically do that. It's not 100%, but it's pretty good. If you don't have that, when you're in a Google Classroom and you go to people, you'll see this right here. And where it says invite guardians, you click that, you type in the parent's email, and it goes out. It's one of those things that's really nice to be automated. It would be really nice if you could upload a CSV file or something like that, but you do have to do it individually. It does not take that long to do. Again, taking an hour, having your team just say, okay, you're just going to do that. For us, we have 6 periods a day. It takes a little bit, but they can get it done. If you're in elementary school where they have basically the same 30 students all day, it probably takes 20 minutes per class.
But any collaborator of the class could do that. So we could have an office staff
Correct.
person become a collaborator for a minute and do that, right?
Totally. Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right.
That's a really good idea, Colleen, and one I haven't thought of. So that's
Got to work smarter, right? Like I don't think the teachers have time to do that. Second, I like to make sure that it gets done. I don't need them to do it. I just want it to be done.
100%. 100%. Yeah, totally. I agree with you. Great idea.
Yeah. On top of all the fun, we're moving to a new student information system in January.
What are you moving to?
We're moving from Illuminate to Infinite Campus. And I think that will integrate. So we might wait a minute and see if that integrates, but it's a fun time to be switching our entire SIS.
I don't regret not being in the IT world anymore. So, all right. So I'm going to leave you guys with one quick video, which I really like. Google developed it, and I think it's dope. So that's how we'll finish.
4 plus 1 is
16. How many pints of iced tea are left in the pitcher?
Times 10. So, wait.
You want to show us the continents and the
No.
It's not going good. My mom is getting stressed out.
Is it a big deal, Shelby?
Mama's tired.
I
So starting just quickly by breathing in.
I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss school.
Teachers, I mean, y'all are gifted people.
I thank you so much for what you're doing.
Their investment into our children is beyond what we can even imagine. Appreciate all that you do.
If I had a nickel for every time I start talking and I'm muted, I would have a sum of money divisible by 5. But I like that video. So anyway, thank you so much for everybody. If you guys could take some time, take a couple minutes to fill out that feedback, that would be much appreciated. But thank you very much. I hope that you enjoy your next session. Have a wonderful day.